morning, everybody. Welcome to the Moms Making Money show. I'm so super excited for our guest today. As always, we're talking about how it's possible to kick yourself out, your fears, everything else, and really have a successful business. My guest today, she's got an incredible success story, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I also wanted to remind you, since we're talking about fear and overcoming self-doubt, we've got a workshop going on Saturday. We'll post the link for that as well. But we want to dive right in. So if you're catching this show live, go ahead, show us some love, say hi, ask your questions. If you're catching the replay, just click replay. Well, I guess you can't click replay. You have to type it in. But I want to take this time now to really introduce somebody who's so super amazing. Her name is Wendy Selvig. Is that right, Wendy?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And she is a gold leader with Young Living Essential Oils. She's also a published author, you guys, which I think is so incredible. So I'm going to turn it over to Wendy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your story, how you got started, and what led you on this mission to team up with Young Living.
Okay, if I talk too much, you got to wait and make me stop. My story goes on forever. But
that's okay.
I started about 10 years ago. I got a job for a nonprofit organization as a natural health researcher. And so for the last 10 years, actually what I've done, I'm a paid researcher. So I know how to go into the medical journals and really look for natural solutions. And the goal for that nonprofit was to find natural solutions for kids in South Africa and Swaziland and different places that have HIV and AIDS, have just immune system challenges, and they didn't have access to medical treatment. They would be, couldn't walk to the hospital, a day every, it wasn't feasible. So we needed to find something that would work for them. And so in that journey, I just poring over medical journals for the last 10 years, I've learned so much about, and I'm not anti-medicine at all. I'm not anti-doctors or anything like that. But the pharmaceuticals and they tend to have side effects. They tend to have things that hurt and harm us. And
yeah, those crazy warnings that you hear about on the TV commercials.
Right. It's a suicide medicine and you may die.
Right.
Which one? No, it's just teasing. But anyway, so over the last 10 years, my heart has just really, really defined what I believe about health and how I want to treat my family and my body and everything. And so one day, I was 7 or 8 years ago, a friend of mine that I'd gone to college with, I was a music composition and technology major. So what does that mean? It means work in a recording studio, but the composition was writing music. So we were majors together, and she just in the mail out of the blue sent me this bottle of Thieves essential oil. And I didn't know what it was. And I was like, I mean, you get a bottle of oil and you're just kind of like,
this is nice. Yeah.
And you don't realize the value. They're so precious. And they're so like this bottle of Thieves oil cost her $40 7 years ago just to send it to me. And I know she didn't have money. But I didn't know that. I'm thinking it's little. This looks like $5 to me, And so I set it on my shelf and I didn't do anything with it for 6 months. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then one day I got a phone call from my son's school, and they were like, he's got 104.5 fever. And half the kids in the class are coming down with it. Will you please take him to the doctor? Please confirm what it is. We're asking all the parents to do that so we can shut down the classroom. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I took him to an urgent care, and they did these tests on him, and they were like, it's influenza B. It's a really bad strain. It's going around right now. There's nothing you can do. The Tamiflu won't touch it. Nothing's going to do anything for it. You're just going to have to try to manage his temperature and bring it down, and he's going to have it for 2 weeks. And I'm like, ugh. He has it for 2 weeks. I'm going to have it. My husband's going to get it. All my kids are, I'm thinking we're going to have
2 weeks out of work. Yeah.
6 weeks. You know how that is when we all pass it around. Well, yep. So I got home, and I remember her saying that bottle of oil really supported your immune system when it came to viral things. So your immune system was able to overcome stuff like that. So I called her, and I'm like, what do I do with this thing? What do I do with this bottle? And she's like, all right, you don't have a diffuser yet. So, because normally you would diffuse it. So like this, I've got a diffuser back here and it's blowing the mist up into the air. So I'm breathing these oils all the time. Well, I didn't have one. And so she's like, so take it and rub it on the bottoms of his feet every hour, on the hour, all day today, and see what happens by tomorrow. And so we did that. And the next day he woke up and he was done with it. It was over.
Nice.
He was fine. And he was like, can I go back to school? I'm like, no, you can't go back to school. Like, first of all, they're not going to believe you. Second of all, they're all sick.
School is closed.
School is closed. Right. So that experience for me, I was like, what have I found? I'm a natural health researcher. I should know. Right. So
what is this magic?
It was my magic oils. Right. So anyway, I started doing some research on the oils, and there's tons of information. You want to do your own research? Alone, you can go to pubmed.gov. That's like the government website where when they do clinical trials, they publish their work. Start searching on essential oils. Start looking up frankincense essential oil. And sometimes you have to know the Latin name, like Boswellia, which is, but and then read what they've published. And basically, the medical community is all over essential oils, but what they want to do is they want to take them apart, and they say, like frankincense, for example, they would say, okay, there's this part in here that kills cancer cells. Well, we're going to extract the part, and then we're going, and this is my little example. Imagine that it's a saw blade, right? It's a saw blade because it kills things it's supposed to kill. Well, they pull the saw blade out. Well, in nature, in that oil, God has put in this oil things that cover that saw blade so it doesn't harm you. You can put it on your body, but it is not going to saw and hurt you. But when you extract the saw and then you make a medicine around it so that they can patent it and they can make money with it, that they just have isolated a saw blade and they put it in a pill and they give you all these little saws that have no protection over them. And then that's how you get your side effects. And that's what's happening. Back in the 1950s, the pharmaceutical companies used to all sell essential oils. And then a law was passed that said you cannot make a profit off of natural substance. Nobody can own a cedarwood tree, right? Nobody, we don't want them to. So they stopped selling them, and then it became competitive markets. So now, unfortunately, you've got a medical industry against a natural industry because they compete. It's just the nature of marketing. It's the nature of finances, and it's really too bad. But
the good thing about it, though, is it's like you have some medical doctors. I watched a thing. I follow Dr. X, and he hosted a gal on his show, and I can't remember her name to save my life. But she was a medical doctor. She was an oncologist. She was also a naturopathic doctor. So when she gets her patients in, for cancer treatments, she has this whole nutrition, essential oils, everything in addition to, or, she kind of melds it together to make, the appropriate treatment for that patient. We've got Amber here. Hi, Amber. Hey, guys, say hi if you're here. But she does a little bit of both, where she takes, the technology and, all this good stuff that nature gives us, and she put it together to make, really effective treatments.
So when you're choosing a doctor and you have a choice between naturopathic or osteopath or purely pharmaceutical, you should really consider those things. Consider, do you want to have options? Because this side is not going to give you options. This side is going to give you only these options. And somewhere in the middle, you're going to have both. And that's a good thing.
I'm very blessed that my insurance reimburses me for a portion of my naturopathic doctor because I love her.
I'm sorry. Those worlds are colliding, and now there's hospitals who have they're using the oils. There's a whole incredible part with emotions that essential oil molecules are so tiny. This is really cool. So essential oil molecules they all are under 300 atomic mass units, AMU. So if you remember chemistry, maybe you don't, but in chemistry, anything under 300 AMU crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
So the American Medical Association has said, if we can find things that will cross the blood-brain barrier, we will find the cures for ALS, Parkinson's and all of these kinds of diseases, we've got to find things that cross the blood barrier. Well, here we go. We've got a ton of essential oils. When you smell that oil, it goes up your olfactory nerve, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it gets right into your blood system, and that's the science of aromatherapy, which is the next thing in my story, because I went ahead and got certified as an aromatherapist because I couldn't stand it because the research was so great.
Right. No, and it's incredible. And there's so much that you can do even outside of just diffusing essential oils. Essential oils is one of my passions. I actually, part of my story is similar to yours, but I became certified as an aromatherapist, 2006, I think, and I just never did anything with it. And then this last year, a couple months ago, I got certified as an essential oils practitioner through it's from the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. And I'll send you the information. It's pretty incredible. They aren't opening up the school until this summer again because they were making some revisions. But so all of this stuff, like, it's so incredible to me, like, and whether you're religious or not, like, because I'm not overly religious, but I find it fascinating, and probably you do too, that based on your books and everything, I find it really fascinating how all of these herbs and essential oils and anointing oils, they go back in time, into the biblical times, like when, you think about frankincense and myrrh, you think about Jesus and Christmas and you know what I mean? Like in some of these oils, thieves especially, when I diffuse it, I'm like, oh, it smells like Christmas in here. So with that being said, even if you're not, an avid follower of any one particular religion, there's still a history, a long, long history of the use of these oils, going back in time. I mean, the Bible is, considered a historic document ultimately, right? So
there's a scientist, his name's Dr. Ollie Winker, and he's like a chemist, and he's got a gazillion things behind his name, what he is. Yeah. He did a study with frankincense, and they put a brain, like this cap on, and they can see what areas of your brain are stimulated with the different oils. And with frankincense, there's an area in the center of your brain that only stimulates when you meditate or pray. So when you're meditating or praying, and really, really focusing on that, then this center area lights up. Well, frankincense also lights up that exact same center area. And frankincense has been used for centuries for prayer and for meditation and for connecting with God. And so it's really cool when later, and you see science actually backs up what we've really known for centuries, what we're doing. So
right, exactly. And what's even better about it, I use it for wrinkles. Like I put it in my like face lotion and stuff. So, and and it works for me. So, so I mean, it's the most dynamic oil.
Yes. Exquisite spas will use frankincense and what's called sacred frankincense, and it's so good for your wrinkles. Yeah.
So you guys, we've changed the Moms Making Money show today to the Essential Oil Show. Anything you'd like to know about essential oils? Like I said, essential oils are a total passion of mine. Like I'm trying to see which way I can go. This little box, right? Everything's backwards. Right here has like every essential oil, and then the drawer below it is loaded. I have them everywhere. Like I happen to have them like sitting on my desk too. So we're junkies, you guys. We are all natural junkies. I see a few people are hopped on. Go ahead and say hi. Tell us where you're viewing from. If you have any questions for Wendy, also feel free to ask her a little bit more into Wendy's success story. And since this is the Moms Making Money show, she has such an incredible story. She was able to go live. Oh, Carrie's here. Hi, Carrie. She was able to go live in Panama, and I'm going to let her tell you what amazing work she was doing there. And she was able to do that because she's not strapped to a 9-to-5 desk job. She's not, burdened down with having to ask her boss for time off from work. So tell us a little bit about that, and also tell us what led you. I mean, obviously we know you're super smart, into research, all that kind of good stuff, but what also led you into publishing your book?
Okay, well, where do I start? Panama. Let's talk Panama real quick. Well, for one thing, Young Living is Young Living is the essential oil company that I represent. And as a certified aromatherapist, first of all, I looked at all the companies, and I looked past the garbage on the internet. I'm sorry, you guys. If you go look up all the companies, there's a million people saying all kinds of stuff about this company and another, they're competitive and they just have tried. I don't want to even go down into the gutter there and deal with that. So I started looking up things, because one of the things I learned when I was getting my certification is that it's really scary about essential oils. And this is your one takeaway about essential oils, please take this away. You have to be so careful about what oils you use. And the reason is because 95% of the oils on the market are either thinned out with chemical additives, or they have aluminum toxicity in them. And they don't say it on the label. They don't have to say it. And so you'd never know. And anything, I promise you, anything at Walmart, Amazon, even Whole Foods, I've gone and looked at the labels. I've gone and researched some of the oils. And here's the reason why. There's only a handful of distilleries around the world, first of all. And those same distilleries provide all the oils to all those oil companies. You got 100 oil companies. Well, they're only getting them from the same 10 distilleries.
Right.
And they put their own labels on it and whatever. Well, the distilleries they've been around for a long time, and they are not around for the health industry. They're around the perfume industry. So the perfume industry is not concerned about you putting an oil in your body to try
on your body
to correct something health-wise. They're not concerned about that. They're concerned about making, oils for perfume bottles that they add alcohol to, and you add all this stuff to. And the biggest problem is those vats and those distilleries are made out of aluminum, and they're made out of toxic metals. So you've got 20 companies buying from this distillery, and they just made a big batch of peppermint, and it's got aluminum toxicity in it. And it's common practice, as in 9 out of 10 times, to add, there's certain chemicals they add to the oils that will thin it out and make it less expensive. So they can say peppermint should only cost you $7 a bottle, not 20. Because they thinned it out and they've added all this stuff to it. And then now if you think that, and now you read about peppermint oil and how that can support your digestive system and cool your esophagus and keep you from getting sick if you feel nauseous and those kind of things, you put that now in your body. Now you are putting things in your body that can actually be cancer causing. Right. That the aluminum can go to different spots in your body that you don't want them there. So you have to be very, very aware. So knowing all of that from the aromatherapy certification, I went and I looked at these companies honestly. And so Young Living has this, what's called the seed to seal process. I know it's their standard, but they are radical from to making sure that the seeds of the plants are non-GMO, they never use pesticides. They only use oils for their pesticides. But here's even the step further that they go. When they harvest any field, they take barometric pressure readings every 15 minutes. Why would they do that? Because if the barometric pressure drops while you're harvesting, the medical constituents of an oil drop into the root ball. And so any old company goes out there and says, yes, harvest the field of lavender. It's time to make our money.
Today, yeah.
Go harvest the field, and it smells like lavender, but it may not have the medical constituents that you want. So they're taking that reading every 15 minutes and making sure, and they're like, stop the harvesters. The barometric pressure drops, and they'll wait until it raises again before they go back. So they do all of this stuff to make sure that it's a medicinal essential, and it's really, really good for you. That was a tangent. Sorry.
Well, one thing too is knowing the difference between one thing that I know of that, just from my education, whatever, is a lot of people, if you go to a health food store or Walmart, you're buying lavandin, not lavender, because it's a different plant. It's part of the lavender family, but it doesn't have the same, makeup, the same atomic makeup or whatever, if you will. And they're able to get, I think when I researched, it was something like 50% more oil out of the lavandin plant than a lavender plant. And since it has a similar smell, a lot of people have no idea. And that's why they're able to sell it for less. But if you put that on a burn or something else, it's not going to have the same, medicinal quality as a high quality true lavender, right? So I don't know if you've ever come across that, but I've had some people, and don't get me wrong, lavandin has its own unique qualities that are beneficial. But for some companies, they just sell it off as lavender, and the day-to-day consumer has no idea. And also, the day-to-day consumer doesn't know the difference between quote unquote pure oil versus therapeutic grade oils. Where pure oil, it only has to be 25% of the plant's oil. It can be cut 75%. So that's my little tidbit. If it says pure, don't buy it. It has to be therapeutic grade or certified organic or some sort of higher grade. Those are the only two grades that I would use, therapeutic grade or certified organic, from a reputable distributor.
So backing to Panama, the reason why I chose Young Living, it's because of the purity of the oils, but also they have such an amazing compensation plan and everything. So the level that I'm at, I worked about 3 to 4 years to get to the level where I'm at. And my paycheck was about, when I was doing that, it was about $2,500 to $3,000 a month. And so we were able to take 2 years off and go to Panama to help my brother build a farm, which is what he's doing it as it's a project to teach locals how to build greenhouses for like starving communities and stuff. Anyway, it was a great thing, but we were able to do that because whether I worked it or not, that money still kept coming in, and I didn't have to take time off. I'm no longer trading my time for money, which that is the goal, y'all.
Right.
And then I got really involved while I was there in this refugee problem. There's an African refugee problem, believe it or not, in Panama, which is Central America. You go, what? Right? So it's a trafficking problem. Some people go to Africa and they say, sell your land, we'll take you to the United States. And they put them on a boat, but they take them to Colombia. And then they realize where they are, and they try to get them into trafficking or into prostitution or soldiering. And if they say no, then they're like, well, the United States is north, start walking. And they do start walking from Colombia. And when they hit Panama, they usually get caught. And then Costa Rica has refugee camps. So we got really involved with that. And there's a whole other story someday on that. But I am a Christian. I love the Lord. And you go through life many times with your faith, but then, there's days when you're like, where are you, Lord? And there's other days when you're like, I sense him. I know he's here. But I had a moment in a refugee camp where I was in charge of the deal. We were preparing food. We were told 50 people that day. So we had enough chicken and rice for 50 people, and even not that much for them to get about, one of those large coffee cup sizes of food. And that's how much we brought in for the day. When we got there were over 300 people waiting in line. And I was, the chaos of the moment, I didn't have time to panic. When you have all these refugees pressing into you and reaching out and trying to grab the food and stuff, although the people who were with me, they put the tables out, they just started putting together. Well, the guy who was in charge of getting the cups, they were out of cups, so he got plates. And he brought the plates, and I turned around and I looked, and the volunteers are already going at it, but they had heaped up like when you go to Panda Express, how much food is on there. And I'm thinking, if you keep this, they keep that up, we're going to serve 20 people and it's over. We're done. But there was a problem going on, and I just turned around and they kept serving and they kept serving. They kept serving, and they served all 300 people, you guys. All 300 people got a heaping plate of food. And when we were done, we had 6 plates left over of heaping, which is about probably how much we started with. And we just had an awesome moment it is a fishes and loaves thing from the Bible. Like, oh my word. Like the Lord, he just totally provided. And he takes care of the orphans and the widows. He was like, this had nothing to do with me. This was the Lord providing in a moment where I was like, and I wasn't even asking for it. I wasn't believing for it, nothing. It was just really, really cool. So I have to brag on God on that whenever I get an opportunity. That's the kind of stuff that we were involved in Panama, and we were able to do it because I wasn't tied down to an office, which I used to be a long time ago. I wasn't tied down because I'm able to just work from home and have my income with Young Living, and I love it.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. So when you first got started with Young Living, not that any of these news stories coming up are going to trump what you just told us, but when you got started with Young Living, what kind of like resistance did you get? Did you get resistance like from outside sources, like this is never going to work? Or did you have like self-doubt, like, okay, how am I going to make this work? Like, did you just dive in both feet? Like, those are the things that you overcame.
I came kicking and screaming because I had determined from the beginning, I'm never going to do that multi-level thing. And I just had a bad impression from years and years ago, those companies that really abused the power when they had a multi-level setup and really controlling and that kind of stuff. I was like, yuck, I don't want anything to do with that. And honestly, my whole life and my walk, I know there's people who will believe differently, so I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just going to tell you what makes my life work and what's for me, okay? So I was on this 20-year journey, which I have a book on Amazon. I promise you this is not a money-making deal. I make less than $1 for every book that sells. I could care less about the money. So this book is called Snatch Proof, The Art of Hearing God's Voice. It's on Amazon. And this is my 20-year journey of learning how to discern between my own voice, what I discern and believe is the enemy, and what I believe is God's voice. And the Bible says that God poured his Holy Spirit out on all flesh, on all of us, I believe, whether we believe in him or not. And I believe we can hear him and learn to hear that direction because he's gentle and he's a guiding counselor. So one day I was sitting at this very place right here, and I heard the Lord say to me, and I wasn't thinking Young Living, I was doing nothing, and I heard him say, you want to do Young Living as a business? And I went, what? And I was like, I'm thinking, that was God. I know that. I've learned that. I wrote a book on it. That was God. And I went, Lord, if you want my honest truth, the answer is no. I don't do Young Living as a business because I'm having in my mind these idea of this multi-level marketing pyramid thingy and being the crazy sales lady, which I swear to God, I'd never do. I never would do. So, and I heard him say to me, if you do this as a business, I will show you what it's like to be in business with God. And I was like, well, obviously you want me to do it. Like, okay. And I heard him just nudge. And when I say I heard, it was not audible. This is like learning to that internal voice and where it comes from. And I heard him say, how many people do you believe you could bring into your organization this month? And I'm like, 1. I'm like, I will believe you for 1, though I don't really believe I could do 1, you know. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, somebody sought me out. They were like, I've been done. I need to find somebody who does Young Living, and I want to sign up. Can you help me? I'm like,
nice. It just so happens I can.
Yes. So, and it just has gone on from there. And with it, so for me, it's more of, instead of just me diving in by myself, I feel like I have God as a business partner. And I actually drew out a contract. I've got it on my wall right back here. This is my contract between me and God.
That's awesome.
It's like declaring a business partnership between God and Wendy and her Young Living business. Wendy commits to seek him regularly for counsel and honor him with her decisions. Listening to the Holy Spirit and looking for open doors, but anticipating that he will bring opportunities and people who need the business and who need these oils. And that's what it has turned into, is that he has just brought people after person after person with health issue after health issue. I do not knock on doors. I do not. My strategy is to not tell my friends. Like, you're my really close friend. You know, when I first started the business, I'm not telling anybody, you know, and what I learned is that's a really good thing. Like, actually, you make them want to beg you for the information. So like, you tell other people and stuff, but the people who, especially if you're worried about like Aunt Sue, who's going to be like, oh, you're doing a multi-level, you know, and who's going to criticize you, ignore them. Don't tell her. Do not tell her. Don't give her the honor of criticizing you. So and what happens is, and they're like, well, why isn't she trying to sell them to me? You know, and you're like, oh, honey, I just don't want to bother you. It's okay. You know, I'm not going to bother you with my little thing, you know, but then over time they're like, well, I want to know about the oils. And then at the end, they're like signing up and going off and selling them. I mean, it's all about how you approach it, you know? And so for me, this is a journey, and it's a journey that strengthens my relationship with God all the time, because I feel like my faith is challenged. He'll challenge me even to like do interviews like this. This is challenging, but I go through this process, and my faith gets stronger and stronger. My business gets stronger and stronger. I see miracles. I see things happen. And then the group of women who are in our team, I've got 700 people on my team, 400, some of us are on Facebook together. But we get together and we do events together, but we also pray together, and we like support each other. And these are my best friends now, these people who are doing this business with me. So
right. And a lot of things that like, even like myself, that I've come to discover, one is I love that tactic, first of all, about not telling your friends, because that's just it. Everybody who starts in multi-level marketing, or even if they were to go on their own as like an independent type of, coach or mentor or whatever, they have that fear of, what are all these people going to think? What are they going to think? Like you said, like, I didn't even tell my friends because you didn't want to give them the honor of giving you a hard time or telling you their opinion when they were uneducated usually about, the company or the product or how any of it worked. They just had, kind of like what you said, you had this preconceived notion of what an MLM company was, right? And then, through your journey, you came to find like, oh, maybe I wasn't 100% right on that. And I think so many people, they find something amazing, it just happens to, fall into their lap, almost kind of like the thieves oil did for you. And they're like, oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. Like, I want to tell everybody about it. But then they're like, I don't want to tell anybody about it because then they're going to think that I'm like salesy or, trying to like screw them over or whatever. And all those fears like really creep in on them, and it sets them back. It prevents them from ever telling anybody. You know what I mean? So I love hearing different tactics than going out and just like messaging everybody that you know, right? I love that you're like anti telling the people that like, that's amazing to me, because that fear and that self-doubt can just, it can jam you up in a second, especially if somebody came back and like, maybe somebody who has reached out to all their friends and they're like, no, this is stupid. What are you doing? And then they get that in their head and they can't shake it. And so then they're not able to actually share their message with people and get the word or the product or their service out into the world when they know it has so much value. You know what I mean? Like, obviously with the essential oils, I believe it too. I totally believe in this. I use essential oils. I love them. Helping keep healthy children. That in itself is huge without medication. Like, we treated an ear infection a couple weeks ago with essential oils. I mean, obviously we don't put oils inside of our ears, but I knew a remedy to help my son, so I didn't have to take him into the doctor to get antibiotics and then have all of that, health repercussions, and yes, I know there's a time and a place, and I fully respect that, but we didn't have to do that because we had, I had the knowledge and we had our home arsenal, if you will, and it works. It works for us, and it works for you. Mm-hmm. And obviously the 700 people that you work with on your team, it works for them too. So, so that's kind of, that I find is so, I don't know, I feel like, trying to think of the right words, because your story has me kind of a little bit emotional anyways. Like, I don't know, it's just such a great story. And, people talk about, like you talked about, like, it doesn't matter what your religion is, like, because you're a strong Christian. Some people believe in Buddha. Some people believe in the universe and different things, so whatever you believe in, you have to follow that. You have to follow that feeling that you get, that guidance, and so I loved that you brought that up. And I want to tell the viewers, like, we don't know each other personally. Like, we met through a community, and we don't have, we've never really had, an ongoing conversation. So hearing this story is almost like, it's pretty much hearing it for the first time. And so that's why it kind of gets me a little emotional. Plus, I think that the work that you guys did in Panama is incredible. Like, talk about a humanitarian, you guys. I want to keep the show moving forward because we could talk about this all day, seriously. And we could, like I said, we're turning this into the essential oil show, which I think is great. But tell us a little bit about, besides just, you know, what you've already told us, how you really got to the place of not caring and not worrying what the people were saying. Like, really just not, I mean, like, obviously you knew in your heart that the products that you had teamed up with were something to be proud of.
Yeah. I think what I'm about to say will apply to whatever business you're in. I think, so whatever your company, whatever you're involved in, I think you have to get a vision for what your goals are and your why and your passion. So your passion, and I've been there in places when I didn't have the passion, and it was just developing. I'm trying to figure out what is my passion. But that fear and passion have a battle all the time. And so when you want to come against your fears, if you don't have your passion developed, your fears are going to win, because your passion has to be able to stand up to the fears. And so one of the things that actually, an unintentional segue to that other book, it's called Vision, right? So I live this. I love this. This is a book, Growing Healthy Homes Publishing, growinghealthyhomes.com. And this just came out this last year, and it's a Bible study. It's an aromatherapy Bible study. But what it does is it helps you dig in your heart. It helps dig out the jewels that you are already there. There's things you're passionate about. You may not know it, but they're there. And this helps you dig that stuff up and realize, no, I really do care about this. If I had to choose between these things, I care about this. And once you start to know what you care about, it helps you identify your purposes and your goals, and that passion starts to get stronger. I'm passionate about helping people find natural health. I've lost people in my life to cancers who I watched them do the medical route all the way to the end. And then, you know, they were sent home to die, and they call me, what can I do naturally? It's too late, right? and that burns me inside to watch things, and watch people who just die, who you know, going. So I like want to help people prevent that. I want to help people make the decision before they ever get cancer of what they would do if they got cancer. I wanted to help people with that. That's part of my passion. So because of that, when someone says, "Oh, why are you selling essential oils?" It's really that. Actually, no one ever says that, but you know what I mean.
People who say it out there.
There are people, but and I look at my passion and I go, and their words fall on deaf ears. I don't hear that. Like, it's just because I don't care what you think.
Yes.
I care about my future. I care about my kids' future. I care about my family and my friends. And one of the things I love so much about all my close friends who like, we're all working in essential oil business together, I am 100% sure that none of those people are going to have scary, life-threatening ends, because we all know how to take care of ourselves and to support our bodies when we need to. But your passion and your vision, they help you so that any of those negative voices, they just don't matter. There's one more technique. There's something that I think this could help anybody in any business as well. It is called the Aroma Freedom Technique. I love this thing so much. It was developed by a clinical psychologist, and it helps you identify and remove your blockers. And so it's something you can look up. It's online. I know how to, I lead anyone on my team. I offer for free. I do Skypes with them or whatever, and I'll lead them through it.
What is it called? I'm going to type it in here.
Aroma Freedom Technique. Dr. Benjamin Perkis. I don't know him personally. I love it. I've got his book. And I love this technique. I've taken my whole group through it. We've learned how to do it. You can do it on yourself. And what it does, so let's just say, as an example, you say, I'm a goal. So I want to become a platinum in Young Living. That's my next goal. It's a little bit out of reach, but I feel like I might be able to do it. So I put that goal out in front of me, and I would ask myself, now on a scale of 1 to 10, how possible does that goal feel? You do this with any of your goals. a goal, a good relationship with your husband, a goal, a goal with your getting a law degree or whatever. You put that goal out there, and then you say, well, how possible does it feel? Often you feel under 5, like 2, 3, or 4. I feel like I could possibly do it, but it doesn't feel probable. Right. And then you start asking yourself, well, what do the negative voices say in your mind that tell you why you can't do that? And you start listening, and you realize, and things always come up. Well, you never complete things, maybe something like that. And you might know that about yourself. You have a hard time completing things. You're like, okay, so then you think, well, think of another time when you couldn't complete something, and they always can think of it, and then there's some specific essential oils that you breathe that are developed they go into your brain, and they unattach memories from the emotion. So you have memories of that time when you could not complete it, but because you have a negative emotion attached to it, it's a really strong blocker. Its emotion is really strong. So what that oil does, you breathe it into you're thinking of the memory while you're breathing the oil, and it goes and it unattaches the emotion from it. You still have the memory, but now it doesn't mean anything to you because the emotion's not attached anymore, and it starts to dissipate. And then you ask the person, well, now on a scale of 1 to 10, how does it feel? And they're like, like a 6. Okay. And then we go back and over again on the process. What do the negative voices say? And you start identifying all of the blockers, and then you start disassociating that, negative emotion. Anyway, I've seen so much breakthrough, so many people who wanted to build a business, but they just feel like they can never get there. They just always get started and then they never finish, and, whatever. And so there's that technique. I've used that technique. I know a lot of people have used it, and I think it's a really great tool you should know about whether or not you are into oils.
Right. I know some people are skeptical. They're, like, oh, it's kind of whatever. But, that's fine. The more for us. But, okay, so Amber says, she's been commenting. She says, yes, we are prepared and supporting along the way, and we take our thoughts captive to break through blockers. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you were talking about is how your passion for what you do, for your purpose overall, like your entire purpose is so much stronger than anybody who might have something to like say by chirping in your ear or whatever. That's everything, you guys. Like if you were to start any kind of business, for me, it's teaching women to lead with confidence, and to find that confidence, they have to find that passion, because you can't confidently, maybe somebody who's really good at sales, but in general, you can't confidently deliver something, a message or content or whatever, and have that true, genuine confidence and passion if you don't believe in it, if it's not real for you. So if you can, like for you, your passion is healthy living led by essential oils, right? You have no problem talking about that. You have no problem confidently, speaking your truth on that and how you feel about it, and the different things of your story, how it's changed your life and changed the direction of what you do just on a daily basis. Everything starting from that bottle of thieves, putting it on your kid's foot and seeing the transformation. That is something you're confident in. It's something you're passionate about, and you can lead with that without a script, without writing it down, without taking notes, without any of that stuff. That's one of the things that I teach my clients is once you find that confident place, then the rest just falls into, it just all falls into place around you, because what you know and what you believe in and what you're passionate about, it's unshakable, Yeah. So that for me, and it's funny, like I said, we'd never met before. None of this is rehearsed. So it's super awesome that you said that, because that's everything, you guys, everything. Hey, Hannah's here, and she says, having your why, that was enlightening for me. You have to know, sorry, you guys, when this comes up on my screen, it's a little bit wacky. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing and what your goal is, or you won't have the true direction about how to get there. Yeah, you have to have like an unshakable why. Like, so I often use this example because most people know who he is. And since we're talking about essential oils, I'm going to use it again. Dr. Axe. The reason why he stopped drinking soda and eating drive-through is because his mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She went through traditional treatments and she went into remission. But during that time, you know, her body, you know, anybody who's gone through that type of treatment, her body had a hard recovery. And, you know, so he went and learned about essential oils. He first learned about healing your body with food. And his why was so powerful. He wanted to know why, like how he could help people like his mother, the woman he loved the most in his life, you know, like how he could help her in a way that wasn't so invasive and wasn't so hard on her to heal. Not so much saying that he wanted to find the cure for cancer with broccoli, but he wanted to find a way to help her so that she never got to that point again. She did actually have a reoccurrence later, and he used essential oils, he used food, he used different natural remedies, and she didn't take conventional treatment at that time, and she's now been cancer-free for some time. So that is like one of the most powerful whys that I've ever heard. You know, more than I want to quit my job, more than I want to stay at home with my kids. It's my mom had cancer and I wanted to find a better way to help people overcome that, you know, without it being so harsh. And obviously he doesn't say, you know, don't seek medical attention or anything like that. He doesn't say any of that. And neither am I, but I'm just saying that reason was his why, and it was so important to him, and it was so like on his heart that there was nothing that was gonna change that for him, and he was going all in because he had that true emotional connection there. And I feel like same with you, like that you had, you know, like a heartfelt connection to starting your business. Mm-hmm. You know, so if you guys are trying to sell something that you don't believe in, this is your permission to quit and find something you do believe in.
It's not worth it if you don't believe in it.
Right. And people can see that. People see that, like, okay, this is just another thing, you know, and granted, like, you know, there are certain products that, you know, like you're going to have a little bit harder time selling mascara to a man per se, but you know, women, I believe in mascara. Like that's my go-to. If I had to have one makeup item, that's my go-to thing. So that's why I pointed that out. But like everybody has something and it speaks to somebody on a different level. And if you're just out there saying like, hey, you know, I haven't talked to you since high school and we weren't even actually friends. You want to buy my stuff? That's not sharing your message. It's not sharing anything really, you know, like, to hear your story about your son overcoming the flu and living a healthier lifestyle once you implemented these oils, and how it took you 6 months to even remember about that bottle that was sitting on your shelf. I mean, that's a real story. That's something that we can all relate to. It's something that we can all connect to because we've all probably done something like that. You know what I mean? But really the passion leading with that, there's nothing stronger than that, you know, other than that unshakable why. Amber says, wow, that's an amazing story of someone's why. Yeah. Hopefully if he ever sees this episode, hopefully he doesn't care that I shared that. He shares it pretty openly in his blogs and different videos and stuff. But that spoke to me on such like an intense level that, yeah, when you make up your mind because you care so much about your purpose, there's nothing that anybody could say to tell you otherwise. You know what I mean? Like if someone told me that helping women find confidence to start a business was stupid, I would laugh at them. Like I would seriously laugh at them. Like, how dare you, you know, or, and just like you don't even hear it. Like, you're like, I don't even hear that stuff. It falls on deaf ears, you know?
People are attracted to passion. So yeah. I want to know if I hear someone just talking, that's one thing. But if I hear someone talking with passion, I want to know why they're passionate about it. And so it makes all the difference in the world with whether or not you are believable and somebody wants to buy your products, because they want to know, like, something made you passionate, because it's hard to create passion, I mean,
yeah, you can't fake it. You really just can't. Like, you might be able to fool some people, but at the end of the day, you can't fake passion. And when you're confident, confidence is what sells. Like, if you were to go, I'm trying to think of another example. Like, usually when you go to like buy a car or something, you know what you want. But if someone, like, if that salesman confidently told you, like, this car has a lot of problems, you're not going to buy it. You know what I mean? Or, like, these particular cars, they sometimes have transmission trouble, a year in, and we've been getting a lot of recalls on it. You're going to be like, oh, But if then he confidently tells you about, but this little small SUV, and you like to think that it comes from a place of integrity, and poor car salesmen, they get a bad rap, but but we all need them from time to time, right? So, but there's a lack of passion there, right? Like, he may not be overly passionate about that. I do have a friend who is like a car guy, so he knows a ton about different kinds of cars. So when I went to buy my car, I asked him, I said, hey, what do you know about this car? And he's like, yeah, that's a good car. And I trusted him because I knew that he was passionate about vehicles, and even vehicles that are far beyond my luxury level. He knows everything. So when you talk to somebody about that and they get like fired up and they're like, yeah, and it has this thing and that thing, you're like, I don't even know what those things are. That's somebody you can like know, like, this person's going to give me good, honest feedback, and they know what the heck they're talking about. Amber says, I feel like your passion is what feels easy to do. Yes. It gets to be easy. How do you, Wendy, when you talk to somebody about essential oils, does it feel heavy or hard, or?
I get excited.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait. I try not to be the one that always talks about essential oils in every situation, everything, but usually
there's always an oil for everything.
There is. So, and that's another sales thing too. And I tell people on my team, don't try to be salesy. Make the decision that you're going to be a good friend. That's like the number one thing. If you're a good friend and your friend comes down with the flu, what do? I go to Costco. I get a thing of chicken noodle soup because they got it there already made. And I take a diffuser, and I don't tell them I sell oils. I don't tell them, oh, you can buy this if you want. I say, this is called a diffuser. This is called thieves oil. Really, you should diffuse this, and it's going to make you feel better. And, you just show up, and you don't even ever say that you're in the oil business. I mean, it's like, because you've decided I'm going to be a good friend. Because the oils, if they're real, they will sell themselves. And it's true, they do. Yep. Every single time someone's like, what is this? It's so amazing. I want it, And if they don't, no big deal. But you were still a good friend over being salesy. And in your friendship and your passion for sharing it, you just help someone get better.
Absolutely. And it's super funny that you said that, because somebody, one of my biz besties, I went to a retreat a couple of weeks ago, and she had flown in from across the country, and she had the onset of an ear infection. She had no idea. But being in the airplane, the doctor said had she flown any later, it probably would have ruptured her eardrum because the infection was moving so quickly. So, I mean, she had to leave the retreat, go to the doctor, like, in a whole different state, So it wasn't even like her own familiar doctor. She had to go to like urgent care or something. And so he gave her a prescription. And the next day I brought her in like a little oil thing that I'd mixed up with the tea tree and lavender. And I told her, rub it on the outside of your ear, and hopefully that'll help you, clear it up a lot faster. And I didn't even think about it. Like, I didn't ask her to buy anything from me. I didn't even tell her what it was. I just said, here, use this and it'll make your ear feel better, but that's what you do. Like, you don't even think about it. It's just kind of like the same thing. Like, if somebody falls down, you get them a Band-Aid, to put on their scraped knee without a second thought. Right. That's how your business should be.
Right. I have given away so many bottles of oils. It's not even funny. Probably as many as you see behind me. And and it's just out of like, you think, oh my gosh, they've got this issue. And I have the answer in I know what this does. I know it's going to take care of it, and it's going to save them a doctor's trip, and it's going to save them all this drama. And so usually I'm like, well, if you're interested, this should take care of it. This is what you do with it. And I just have learned, if you give freely, it comes back to you. You just,
yeah, absolutely.
Give it out. And yeah. People are like so grateful. It's not like, oh, you're trying to sell me something. I'm like, no, don't pay me. I don't want any money for it. Seriously, take it.
Right.
Try it, And then people they love it, and it's so helpful. You're being helpful. So.
Yeah, that's the difference between, you always hear like, and even for me, I used to be paired up with an MLM for fitness and health coaching because I'm a certified nutritionist, and I would hear these leaders of the organization talk about share, don't sell. And by sharing, they didn't mean like give away free workout videos or give away free product, but they were like, you share. And I never really got that until recently. Like, it took me a while. And the difference between like sharing is kind of like what you're saying, like you authentically just give. You don't have to give a whole bottle of oil. Maybe you just give them like 2 drops of oil, or you, like for me, I mixed it up in a little vial. It was like this big, and it's enough oil to probably help her with, 500 earaches, to come. But, but it's like, that's sharing when you're sharing from your heart, when you're sharing with your passion, and you're leading with that confidence that like, oh yes, you have to try this because this is going to totally help you, without even thinking like, I'm going to give this to my sister and then she's going to buy it from me. Like, right. You don't even think about that. You're like, give this to your sister, or like, like Young Living, they have that kids line. Yeah. So like my sister, her daughter would get a bellyache. I'm like, oh, give her this, like rub this, mix this in some lotion or some coconut oil and rub it on her belly. And she's like, oh my God, that stuff is amazing. Later, it was like a year later, she's like, I need to get some of these oils like in my life, like sign me up, and I'm like, oh, well, okay. Like, but I never asked her like, hey, sister, you want to, get on board and start buying and selling essential oils? And she doesn't sell them, but she's a consumer. She uses them and she loves them and she believes in it. But she would have never thought about that if I hadn't said, no, don't take her to the doctor for that. Like, right. And I know that sounds like bad advice. Anybody who's like a medical professional is probably like, but she just had a little tummy ache, and right. Rubbing those oils on there really helped her. And she didn't need to waste time and money, and because we live kind of in the middle of nowhere, driving 20 miles to get to the doctor. So with that being said, that difference between sharing, leading with your passion, showing up confidently, mm-hmm. all of that's what brings people into you instead of pushing people away. Yes. I feel like we should do a mic drop now. Yes. Well, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And that's even like what I'm going to be teaching about this weekend. I'm doing I call it the F off fear workshop, because that for me, I feel like is the one thing that holds people back. Like I said, like if you're afraid of what people are going to think because maybe you've teamed up with an MLM company or whatever, then and there's some crazy skewed statistic that I saw, and it was like something like they said like, 90% of MLM people like fail and they never get their investment back. Well, first of all, they do, because when I know for a fact with Young Living, when you sign up and you buy a kit, you get a consumable product. You're actually purchasing something. So you're not losing any money. You're actually saving money by purchasing that kit, and you're using that product. So that's like, I'm going to be Mythbusters for a minute. So that's busted right there, because some people just want to sign up for the discount. They don't necessarily want to sell, right? And this goes for like MLM across the board, not just essential oils or whatever.
I don't know where that statistic comes from, but I do know that Young Living says that only 95% of people sign up with Young Living just to use the products. They didn't intend to be a business builder. That was the intention.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing. And So that gets put out there, but because there's this one group out there on Facebook, I don't even remember what it's called, but I'm not going to give them any mention, even if I did think of it, because I think they suck. It's like 30,000 people, and all they do is sit around and bash people in MLMs. I'm like, really, people? You don't have anything better to do with your life, like, than sit around and bash people? Like, let these women do their thing. Let them, like, support them. Like, come on, there's more to life than 9 to 5. There's, I don't know. I like I said, I could go on and on and on all day about this one, but those statistics are so skewed because the ones who, okay, so you get the people who sign up for the discount because they want to use the product and they don't want to pay full price. No shame in that. Then you get the rest of the people who fall maybe into that category. And it's because of people like them, people like that group who tell them like, no, this stuff is never going to work. It's part of a pyramid scheme. You guys, pyramid schemes are so heavily like monitored and followed and whatever. Like the government has its eye on all of that kind of garbage. MLMs are heavily regulated by the federal government. And if there was any pyramid-y kind of crap going on, they'd be shut down like that. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm here to tell you don't have to worry about that. Plus, you're getting an exchange of product. You're buying something when you buy from an MLM company. You're getting something in return. That is a sales transaction. That's not a scheme. It's a standard sales transaction. So you're just doing it from somebody you know as opposed to driving to the store and doing it. So that statistic, that like when I first heard that, it just set me off. Like I did this whole rant like in my community about it, because a lot of the girls who I work with are part of an MLM. And I believe in MLMs. I think they're fantastic. Like, how can, you can go start a business for $40, right? Or whatever. And I looked into a franchise just kind of on a whim. And most franchises, your out-of-pocket startup is $250,000, to get your facility and all your rights and all your logos and everything else, $250,000. Whereas, you think about you invested that initial little bit of money, you got a kit, you got something for your investment, and now you're able to live a life of freedom. You were able to go live and serve other people who were greatly in need. And how can somebody who's never even bought something from their friends say that it's a bad thing? Like, I don't know. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now because like I said, I could totally go on and on about this all day long.
And one little thing on that, like with Young Living, it was one of the things that kind of drew me to it because I knew they were MLM, but really they consider themselves a wholesale company like Sam's or Costco. So you're not signing up. You're not required to order something every month. There's no these weird stipulation things that the pyramid people used to do back in the day. That stuff doesn't happen. And unfortunately, it all gets grouped together in this big idea of MLM. But it's not. Basically, you sign up and you get a kit of oils and that's it. And for the next year, you have a membership and you can sign on anytime you want and you can order whatever you want at a discount. It's a discount, it's a wholesale discount. And if you happen to share that with somebody and they sign up, you're going to start getting commissions off what they sell. So they've built into it a little way for you to make money, but it's not like goal driven, like everyone go sign up your family. It's like, no, 95% of people, they just sign up and buy oils. That's it.
Right. And it's a consumable product, something that they wanted to buy. And then they're like, oh, there's a discount? What? Like I can buy all this stuff in the kit and save $300? Yeah. Sign me up. Yeah. So that I think, obviously my passion is helping women grow their business, if you couldn't tell. And that's like just it, like that's why I'm putting on the workshop on Saturday. So, obviously anybody wants to hop in, there's still a couple of places left, but to really teach them, and you're the prime example of leading with passion, not letting those outside people hone in on making their decisions, trusting your instinct, trusting the universe, trusting God, whatever it is that you believe in, and following your love, your true desire, and not letting anybody tell you otherwise. I mean, look at you. You've created a beautiful life. You're a published author of 2 books. And you guys, if you have an Amazon account, be sure to hop on and pick up a copy of one or both of Wendy's books. And actually, Wendy, too, if you want to, you can when we finish up here, you can post the links, the direct links to your books, so that way they don't even have to look around. We'll just post those in the comments. But yeah, get your hands on a copy of those books, you guys. And obviously, if you have any interest in pairing up and starting an MLM, quote unquote, MLM essential oils business with Wendy, reach out to her directly, and she will give you all the training and everything that you need to know about oils and get you started in the right way by not telling your friends.
So I'm on Facebook by my name, Wendy Daves Selvig, and then also we are the Oily Academy. You can find us. It's a group, and I'd love to have anyone who would like to learn. So.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to join you too.
Okay.
Okay, well, we had an amazing, amazing show today. Obviously, lots of emotion, lots and lots and lots of passion, tons of education. We got to learn a lot about essential oils today. Thank you so much, Wendy, for hopping on and joining. We're definitely going to have Wendy back. We're going to figure out something that we can do. Maybe we'll do Essential Oils 101 or something, but definitely we'll have Wendy back on the show soon. And like I said, pick up a copy of her book, one or both of them. Can you buy them in a bundle?
No, Vision. The Vision one is the new one, and this is on growinghealthyhomes.com.
Okay.
It's a different publisher, and they only sell it on there. And then Snatch Proof is on Amazon.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll get those links posted for you guys. And thank you guys all for giving us lots of love and supporting our talk on why and passion and all of the great content that Wendy shared with us today. She has an incredible story, an incredible journey, and she's living proof that jumping in with both feet and starting a business and doing something on your own is possible. So everybody give her a round of applause if you're sitting at your computer still. And thank you so much, Wendy. I really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
Talk to you guys later.
Pleasure. Thanks.